I'll do roll call again. Susan Kiefer. Here. Ernest Becker.
Here.
For example, I'm here. Patty Jensen.
There,
All right. Before we commence, I will read the land acknowledgement. Jackson County Library Services acknowledges that its libraries are located within the traditional lands of the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians and the Modoc Nation, as well as the Chet, the Tekelma, and Lagawa people, whose descendants are now identified as members of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and the Confederated Tribes of Grand Bronx. We take this moment to recognize the indigenous peoples whose traditional lands are where residents of Jackson County live today. JCLS is committed to fostering deep understanding, deep respect, and honor for indigenous people, and we encourage you to learn more about the land you reside on. For more information, go to jcls.org/link. All right. Yeah. Would you like to introduce?
And Carrie said, I'm happy to introduce our new community engagement manager, Josh Lessner.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Great to be here.
You can get us all firmly engaged.
That's the plan.
I do not see any proclamations. And the first order of business before we get to anything else is to elect officers so we can officially meet. So. I guess we should just start with some nominations, but I'll. Just for history, since I probably have more of it than most others do. We have traditionally sort of run with a president and a vice president, and then the following year steps down and the vice president usually gets elected in their stead, mostly because they've had a sort of a year of apprenticeship. But it hasn't always worked that way, and I have no particular vested interest in continuing. I believe that's the way to go. But so with that introduction, I'm open to nominations. Anybody else want to nominate someone else? Do you know? Are we supposed to elect both? We elect one and finish that and then elect the vice president.
It would be fine if you wanted to present a slate, and if there was this one set of nominations, that if there are multiple nominations for vice president, then we would want to.
Let's just see where we can.
Close.
Well. Okay, moved. Been moved and.
I second the nomination of Susan.
All right, and Kevin's moved to close nominations, so. We'll second that one too.
I second to close nominations.
And. Let's see. Let's get nominations for vice president two, and then we can. Have one. So. I would not Kevin to be vice president.
I would second the nomination.
Yeah, anybody? All right, I'll move nominations to be closed. Second, all right, second. So you have a nomination for president and vice president. And I will put that slate on the floor for a vote. I don't know if you need a roll call or not on this. You do? All right, call roll, please.
Kevin, Kenny? Keating,
Yes.
Abby Jensen,
Yes.
Marta Terenzi,
Yes.
Marissa Shepherd.
Yes.
Do I call you Steve?
Yeah.
Susan Kiefer.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to bring up the chat.
Thank you all. Okay, so, do we have anybody who would like to suggest amendments to the agenda? Here, you have, we proceed with this agenda presented. So next up is. Oh, request come next. So the consent agenda is the first thing on the agenda. At this point, would somebody move approval of the consent agenda?
So,
Kevin,
And I said,
Kevin has moved and Marta has seconded the motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have the consent agenda passed, which was just the regular board minutes from the June 18th meeting. Do we have no oral requests for oral communication? So then Carrie is not feeling well and has gone home. She said she would try to join us virtually from home when she got there, but she said Calvin would stand in for her. So Calvin, would you like to present the director's report?
Well, you've all got the director's report. There's so much going on always. Oh, thank you. So you all have the director's report. So much happening throughout all the branches, in this new arrangement by the strategic plan, goals and strategies. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I think for me, the one thing that I remember being a really big deal was the Central Point and Eagle Point branches opening their town capsules. That was a big hubbub and to do and very cool. So that's the one thing that I would highlight.
Any questions? I have a question. On the first page, under improve and enhance the collections, the shift away from the library consortium to our own overdrive platform.
Yes.
This is going to provide, theoretically, we hope, access to more books.
Eventually, yes.
Not for a year. But, and it also is going to require hiring an additional selection librarian.
The digital selection librarian has been hired. That was approved for this to be filled at the end of last fiscal year.
This is it. I had still found. Oh, is that? Maybe I didn't read it. All right. So, can you talk about how this is going to affect the cost of online material?
Well, I think the costs of the materials will stay the same. The big difference is really in the benefit to our patrons as we have control of our home platform and the features and the loan periods and the number of checkouts, and we'll be able to manage it and use it and be much more responsive to our patrons' needs once we launch our home collection. And I think it'll actually end up being really mutually beneficial for both the consortium and for us, since our patrons are such.
Be stealing all their books.
We have some very avid ebook and audiobook users, and so I think, and so we're one of the highest users in the consortium, and so it'll free up a lot of that, and then we'll be able to have our home have control over it and be able to select and share and use the various engagement tools
And this shift is expected to give place a year from now.
Correct, yes, July 1 is the date.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mark?
Could you please elaborate on what makes the difference between a passive discovery tool versus an active reader's advisory tool?
Point you to what you are referring to.
Actually the same one on the improve and enhance the collections. The first paragraph. Fill in the space with curated titles, creating a passive reader's advisory tool. I'm just wondering where's the line between something that's a passive advisory tool versus an active.
Sure, I would think that a passive reader's advisory tool in this case is more like display areas and the ability to put things up that people can walk by and engage with the display or maybe some interactive components on that display, as opposed to communicating with someone and having a reader's advisory experience. And
Interaction.
an interaction component, or, engaging with staff to say, hey, can you help me find my next book, what can I read next?
The library catalog would even be considered a passive readers.
Absolutely, and then of course we have novelists, and novelist takings, and so those are also readers advisory tools that are utilized. And the book lists, and yes.
Looks like Carrie has one too, just in time. Excellent.
So, any other questions? All right, moving right along. We have unfinished business would be the pathways amendment, the pathways to contract amendment, which will update our place, janitorial contract and take them.
What? So in your packet, you've got the agenda item memo about the amendment number 6 to the pathways contract, the service contract for janitorial. There are just a couple of changes this year. As you know, we removed landscaping, so pathways previously handled the landscaping at 3 of our locations. They no longer do, which is one of the reasons that the costs for stay so similar to last year. And go down rather. And anyway, so yes, we're gonna be continuing right now. Crystal and I are in the process of updating and revising the detailed scope of work with pathways. Maybe tomorrow with that to just finalize that, make sure we're all still on the same page in terms of the tasks to be done.
We shouldn't do that before we lose it. Contract.
The detailed scope, it hasn't changed much. It's minor tweaks.
Okay,
And
so they're not going to
clarification.
change their numbers based on.
No, the number of visits is staying the same, the everything is staying the same in terms of what they charge us for, it's just a matter of clarifying. If for internal use, really, what are the expectations and what. We wanna make sure that we're all. When they visit. But the visits themselves are governed and staying the same.
I don't think the scope, sorry, jumping in, but I don't think the scope of work has been updated since maybe the original contract. There's other parts of it that have been updated, like as the landscaping got added in and out, and just as we were doing it. We're like, is this still exactly what they're providing? And so that's what they're fine tuning is, making sure that it's in there, we have a nice group now, what they're gonna be doing, but.
Exactly, and then the other thing that is in the tables that Richard provided, if they are included in your packet, it speaks to, like, I think we modified, that impacted the costs. The deep carpet cleaning is only happening a certain, so the pressure washing, we're gonna change that schedule, so that was all part of what you have in front of you. That would impact the cost.
You feel deep carpet cleaning in this room every week.
Maybe not deep, but we can do spot cleaning. Because that you can cost extra for the deep carpet cleaning.
I may have noticed a small spot.
I know.
Alright, I have a question about the flooring. We replaced flooring in a couple of the branches in the last year, lost great accomplishment it was the facilities report. Are there specific additional services in addition to this deep cleaning last year? That we have to perform to keep the insurance valid and active?
I am not aware of the pathway services necessarily impacting insurance.
Okay. But just in addition to this, I wonder if there's anything else we have.
Right, so we have, yeah, so we have. We have scheduled services that are regular cleanings overnight in all of our locations on specific schedules, certain number of days a week per branch, depending on their needs. And then we have day porter service at Medford and Ashland during the day to come up to help with things as needed. Then we have what are called periodics, which are additional services like pressure washing, the window, exterior window cleaning, major carpet cleaning, I think that's it. And those happen at certain points in the year.
Gotcha. Maybe my question is not necessarily pertaining to this, it's about whether or not we're going to incur additional costs we haven't before, because before then we might have to do more for that.
Not to my knowledge, that should not cause any.
Gotcha. Because not doing something is can sometimes avoid the insurance and warranty.
Okay, that's, yeah, no, I'm not aware of that, I will note that question.
On table exhibit B. One of the columns is strip and finish, and another column is scrub and finish. Is that referring to the tops of tables, or what are we stripping and scrubbing?
That is the flooring, that is the flooring,
Oh, it is
those are
flooring.
flooring services, yeah.
Okay. So, and flooring and needs to be stripped and
I think it's depending on the chemicals that they use to do that.
So what's a day porter?
The day porter it's effectively, it's a pathways staff member who is here on site in Medford every day. And so they do things like wipe down, I think it started during the pandemic, but wiping down surfaces, making sure the restrooms are cleaned, refilling paper dispensers. They do trash pickup around the building on a regular rotation, and then they're also on hand should anything need special attention during the day.
It's substantially more in Medford. Do we have more people working in Medford than Ashland, or is it the bathrooms? Or?
It's the bathrooms, okay. I believe we have one day porter here all the time, and then one comes in the afternoon. So there is definitely more service here in Medford. Ashland has day porter service as well, but it's a limited number of hours.
And then 139,000 for Medford, is it basically just personal costs?
For the
Day
day porter, that's my understanding.
Okay. Well, that's secured on that later. 38 in Ashland people.
Carrie's right there, you can answer.
Motion.
Carrie, are you available to answer a question?
Well, yeah, and actually comparing Ashland last year to this year for day porter, I would have to go back and look and see.
It wasn't broken out last year because.
Yeah,
So that was the other thing that Richard let us know is that, the state had a different way, for him to calculate the costs. And so they broke it out in slightly different ways. So that's one reason, that's an extra difference between the 2 years.
In times past, I believe the day porter also helped set up rooms for meetings, but it doesn't look to be like that happened.
No, that is not on.
that was when the day porter was an LSNS staff member. So that has changed when our day porter went to Pathways.
Okay, but I'm not imagining things. I do remember that we used to have a.
Well, you're at least not imagining that thing.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, we wouldn't want to make blanket statements, but. Any other?
When the hours are set or when they're reported based on, hours provided, or if there's a change needed, are the amounts rounded up to the nearest hour or the nearest half an hour?
So in terms of the schedule for the janitorial staff, so that happened, so we made a big change to the contract. When we changed our hours, because different branches were open at different times, so that definitely impacted. When pathways could come and when we wanted them to come, and based on the wear and tear of the building with additional hours, we made adjustments to the schedule of hours at each location. That is relatively set.
So they're not billing per hour,
No.
not to exceed. Okay, it's a different model. Thank you.
It must be, yes.
Any other points? Yeah, I forgot to get a motion on the table before we discuss, but. I don't think that's a fatal error in this case. So do we have a motion now to approve this contract amendment?
I move to approve pathway services contract amendments, for this coming year.
Kevin's moved approval of the contract amendment.
This is Marta and a second approving the contract.
Contract is seconded. Since this is a contract amendment, I suppose we need a roll call. You don't, okay? In that case. All in favor, signify by raising your hand or saying aye. All right, we appear to have a unanimous approval. Okay. All right. So that's it for unfinished business. Under new business, we have district organizational items and committee assignments. That are on page 20. The organizational items are on page 20 in your packet. And I believe this is just a list for us to be aware of things that we need to do. I don't believe there's any suggestion that we change the meeting time day. Are we just gonna run down this list and approve them all, Carrie?
So these are all the organizational items that are required for us to do annually. We have to tell people when we're meeting, how we're notifying the meetings, all of that. So nothing has changed. No, there's no recommended changes from the previous fiscal year. That first agenda item or item there of whether this date and time works, you do have a new board member. So I just want to make sure that this meeting time still works for everybody.
All right, with you, Patty? Do you
Absolutely, thank you.
Um. Do
Are there
we,
any-
do we need to vote approval of this or just note that this is our organizational setup?
It is an action item.
Is an action item? All right,
I had a question about the first.
well, can we,
I move approval.
let's, let you, okay, thank you, Kevin.
I move approval of the organizational, items for this fiscal year. 26.
We have a second.
This is Marta and I second.
Marta, so Kevin has moved and Marta has seconded a motion to approve the organizational items for fiscal 2026. Now we have some discussion. Marta.
Thank you. I was going to raise the possibility of the meetings being scheduled not from 4 to 6, but from 4 to 5:30. And then if anticipate the meeting agenda to then be extended.
We haven't been lucky enough to get out early from too many meetings, although that's happened more often recently than it used to. Do you have any opinions about that, Carrie?
Sorry, I missed the question.
She wants to change the meeting from 2-hour time block to 1.5 hours with the proviso that if the agenda is longer to extend the meeting. My reaction might be to just try to get done early and adjourn. But
Another reason for it is we've also added the every 4 weeks or every 2 weeks after the board meeting, we've added a standing study sessions or a work session as well.
but we put on calendars as a placeholder. We have, and this spring we've been using them pretty regularly.
I'm open to giving it as a tool, but then sticking to the agenda and moving. Eventually.
I promised to my level best. Keep it moving.
So I wonder if, kind of Marta, to address your question there, if, you know, the meeting time is set 4 to 6, and I think the expectation for the longer window, and then when we do the agenda setting and we look at the actual agenda, we could start assigning times to kind of keep things on track and then be able to set expectation when we send out the agenda for how long we expect the meeting to last. Does that
That would be helpful.
kind of address what you're trying to get at here?
I think that's a good idea. We
Okay.
Get it when we do agenda setting. Other questions or comments about the organizational items? None. Okay, all in favor of approving these organizational items, please raise your hand or say aye. We appear to have a unanimous vote. So the motion is approved to set these organizational items for the year.
And Susan, before we move on, because I was driving during the initial parts of things, Briston Strong is sitting behind you, our programs coordinator, and she is prepared to give a brief presentation about the summer reading program, which was supposed to come during my director's report. But since I wasn't there to call on her, I was wondering if she could do that now.
That would be lovely.
Thank you.
Would you enlighten us about summer reading?
I would love to.
Looks like they're reading lots.
They are reading lots. Our whole county is reading lots. Yeah, so again, my name is Briston Strong. I'm the programs coordinator for those who have not met me yet. And I'm here to give you sort of a mid-quarter summary of our summer reading program. And so our 2025 summer reading theme is Embrace the Wild. So today I'm going to talk about why we chose that theme, what that means. I'm going to give you some stats, and then I'm going to highlight some of our programs. I'm the programs coordinator, and that's what I do. So we chose, you can hold on that slide, please. We chose the theme Embrace the Wild for a few reasons. One, simply because we love the idea of having a summer camp kind of vibe. Kids during this summer reading program can earn little patches, just like you would at summer camp. Virtually, they can earn little badges. You might see some of the artwork around our branches with Guinevere, who was our Sasquatch for the summer, kind of invoking those feelings. We also chose Embrace the Wild because we wanted to acknowledge the wild wilderness that surrounds us here in Grove Valley. It's something that we celebrate and admire, and we want to bring that into our branches just as much as the folks who are in our branches go out in it. And then finally, we wanted to embrace the wildness within ourselves. So thinking about creativity, movement, art, dance, that sort of thing. So we wanted to embrace all of those ways of being wild and embrace the wild. Folks can participate in summer reading in a myriad of ways. The biggest one is by reading books. That's what we want. But they can also attend programs, and if they do all of those things, then they get the opportunity to win prizes. Next. So how do you sign up? There's a few ways, and it's never too late to sign up for summer reading. So if you haven't done it yet, I encourage you, please do so. There's a few ways. Go ahead and go to my next slide. You can sign up online at jcls.beanstack.org. Beanstack is a book tracking tool. Think similar lines of Fable or Storygraph or Goodreads, those kinds of things. But it is more kid-friendly. There's not a lot of social aspects, so it's not like a social media sort of situation. And so you can go there. There is also an app. You can do it from home. You can come into our branches and sign up. It's pretty easy. We don't need a whole lot of information. We just need your name, your branch that you attend. We do need some sort of contact info because if you win a prize, we would love to tell you. And then we also need your age, which might seem funny, but it's because throughout the year we offer not just summer reading, but a variety of reading challenges. And we want to keep this safe for all ages. So we have some reading challenges that are just for kids and some reading challenges that are just for adults, and we want to keep that separate. So that's why we need your age. It's not so we can laugh at you and all of that. So it's just the one demographic thing that we need. However, go ahead and go to my next slide. If digital is not your thing, that's totally okay, because we still and will always have a paper reading log for folks to fill out. This is what ours looks like this year. You can track your reading, how many books that you read at the bottom of the page. You'll see these little books and you color in each book that you read. Once you read 5, you can go to your local branch and you can get a free book. That little pathway one is minutes. So each of those little squares is 20 minutes. All of those squares add up to 500 minutes, which is a lot. But once you get 500 minutes, then again, you can go to your local branch and get a free book. We wanted the opportunity for folks to be able to track both quantity and the amount of time that they're reading. Again, it's just a more accessible way to do it. Counting your quantity of books is great for those voracious readers, the ones that read a book a day or 100 books a year or whatever. But counting minutes is a little bit easier for folks who are like me and aren't as voracious of a reader and would just like to track what I'm reading every single day. And we want them both to be rated equally. So that's why we have those options. Next slide. Here are our current stats. So we have 1,302 active readers. I'm going to put a little asterisk here because I will say that our paper reading logs are not entered yet. That comes later. So this is purely the numbers that I have on our Beanstack digital tracking tool.
Just anyone that signed up.
Yep. And well, these are people that not just signed up, but have logged something. Whether it's a book or how X amount of minutes or whatever.
So it might be print, though, that they're logging,
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. So we have, 1,312 active readers, people who are logging their reading. They've earned 10,302 badges, and you earn badges by reading books, by tracking your minutes, by attending programs, all of that. So that's a lot of badges to earn. It's a lot of activity, a lot of busyness happening. They've read a total of 18,982 books. That's how many have been logged so far. Tremendous. And then over 400,000 minutes. In case you're wondering how this stacks against last year, badges, books, and minutes are way ahead from last year. Minutes specifically is twice as many as we had this time last year. And I think it's because last year folks had to choose whether they wanted to track minutes or books, whereas this year we're saying track it all. So we do have some double dipping. People are tracking books and minutes. I don't see that as a bad thing. I just want activity. But the other ones are up quite a bit. The one number that is down are active readers. We are 150 less than we were this time last year. So we're working on ways to try to get more people to sign up. I know it's coming up to the end of July, but we're in mid-July. There's still a month and a half of summer reading left. That's plenty of time to track. So we're going to try to figure out how we can get people to sign up. Because signups do tend to slow down. So there you go.
Bruce, does that number make sense? Just 19,000 books rather than 1,000 readers 1 month, 6 weeks?
Does that seem, what does that feel like to you? Does that feel too high?
Seems like 19 books in a month and a half. Would be hard to me, yeah, but I'm not, again, I'm not.
Well, then you also have to think about picture books for kids. So, very rarely does a kid want just one bedtime story. So, all of those are being prepared.
It's not 19 War and Peace edition.
Right, yeah.
Which is what I'm reading.
Yeah. Okay, next slide. So here's some programs that we're doing. I can't highlight all of the programs that we're doing this summer because then we'd be here until 2 weeks. Summer would be over by the time we talk about it all. But I do want to highlight some of our favorites. So storytelling with Will Horniak. Will Horniak is a world-renowned storyteller. He's out of the Portland area, and he's been doing it for a very long time. He's been to our branches before, both pre-pandemic. He also was one of the few people who did virtual programs for us during the pandemic. And he's back in person. His programs are interactive. He gets the kids engaged in the active art that is storytelling. So we're happy to kind of rekindle that partnership now that we're very much back in person and doing those kinds of things. Next. We have music and movement, again, that embrace the wildness in ourselves, the wildness that we're in the space and around others. For those who are familiar with our toddler aerobics program, this is similar in that it's just a music and movement program, but for older kids. So it gives those kiddos also a chance to move and groove and have fun in our libraries you're not familiar with our child aerobics program, it's exactly what it sounds like. And I'm happy to talk about that more later. But next slide. We're also partnering with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife to do a program talking about our state animal fever. So they're coming with some hands-on materials. They have little stations, little activities. So it's not just, it doesn't feel like homework. We've gotten some pretty good feedback about this program too. Next. For our older patrons, our teens, we have a certified climbing expert coming in to teach paracord knots, various knot tying, and also paracord bracelet making. I've had and I regret that I didn't bring these testimonials, but I've been hearing really good things about this program and this particular partner's interaction with the teens and the families that. So hopefully we can have him back in the future. Next slide. Bug-out bags. So now we're kind of embracing the wild and maybe the more traditional way that you're thinking of the theme. These are like emergency preparedness bags. So what we're doing for teens is providing the bag and some introductory materials, a flashlight, a paracord, an emergency blanket, that's in there, a whistle, a few other things. But we're also providing them a list of some other materials that they could include, as well as starting that conversation about what it means to be safe out in nature. Next. This year, I'm thrilled because we're having some bilingual programming. I don't have a slide for it, but we did partner with Pollinator Project with their bilingual outreach folks to come in and do some bilingual story times and educational programming about the monarch butterfly. But we're also, for all ages, we have this bilingual program, and folks do not need to have a dance background to come and attend. But it is available in English and Spanish. It's for all ages, for all dance abilities. It's a really great program for us. And we've had them before, so it's nice to have them back in our bridges. Next. And then finally, coming up in August, another program with the Pollinator Project for adults is how to make your landscape more wild. So this is talking about what kind of plants you can plant in your garden that encourage like pollinators and local like birds, beetles, those are local ecosystem basically. There's 8 of those happening in August, and those are all of these are on my calendar. So if these interest you or someone needed in your life, please encourage them to them. Okay, next. All right, there's more information that I'm sure you've all glanced through our summer reading guide. All of the other amazing programs that we have to offer are listed in there or on our website. And the next slide might be the last one. Yeah, that's it. Summer reading goes through August 31st. Starts June 1st, goes through August 31st. So, and then I will be providing, whether it's a written report or you might see me back here as sort of a wrap up. So that's my mid-quarter. Any questions? Yes. Ben.
Maybe everybody else knows, I'm doing your question. What is, oh, sorry, push the button. What is the age range for this program? I saw you have adults.
Yeah, summer reading, we encourage everyone of all ages to participate in summer reading. So for folks who may or may not know, the point of summer reading is to kind of decrease the summer slide, that reading ability that drops during the summer when kids are in school. That's why we have the summer reading program to encourage it. But we also know that one of the great motivators for kids reading is having adults in their lives read. So we want them to encourage them to read too. And that's why we also offer, free book prices and programs for them to.
Excellent.
You are collecting the ages, and I'm wondering, like, what percentage are kids under 12?
Yeah, and I could get those. I should have probably included them in the slide, but I do have access to that information.
Right, is it weighted towards the kids or maybe?
It is mostly young kids, but we do, and we have increasingly over the years had more and more adult participation. But it is kind of that K-8 is our biggest.
Any other questions for Bristol?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You know that our county's kids are the So. The next item on the agenda is to look at our committee assignments, which are on page 21 and 22 in your board packet. What we have here is a list of current committees and their membership. Do we need to appoint people to these committees today, or can we have people think about what they want to work on and do it Friday?
That's a good idea.
I think they have to be officially appointed in a board meeting, so we can discuss today, discuss further on Friday, and then codify next month. But I do believe it's an action item in terms of assigning the committee members. So that's why it's on the agenda today.
Okay, that's good to know, but we can let people think about it before we just jump into assignments. Okay,
I have a question. Is there a minimum or maximum of the committees that we're on? And how many people could be
yeah,
on
the new
each?
people on the board get to sit on all.
That's very exciting. Thank you.
No, I don't think we have a minimum or a maximum. I think everybody gets to be on at least one. And I think most of us have been on two.
There can't be more than 2 board members on it,
Oh, that's true.
because otherwise it
We
would
don't want to have to notice all the committee meetings, so. So it's 2 people per committee. Yes, ma'am?
I'd like to provide some context. I currently serve on the advocacy committee, as well as the personnel committee. With Vicky Brown stepping off the board, I'm happy to continue serving in the personnel committee, but it would be really helpful to me, I think, to have one, I live the president or vice president, the board join that one, it just makes sense to me. So I wanted to put that out there in the wish list. And also to add, I am still very happy with my advocacy committee assignment, good work is happening there. Basically, technically just got started last year, which was like August, so I'd like to remain on that one. And I'm happy to remain on the personnel one that I found.
Do you mean the director's evaluation?
Yeah, personnel.
Yeah, I think we sort of
Same thing.
changed names a bit, but. I think we wanted it. To be a little broader than just the evaluation committee, because. Folks looked at a couple of other things that weren't just related, I believe. Although I didn't sit on the committee.
Okay, and at our Friday meeting, would we have an opportunity to perhaps negotiate? Because I want to be an execute.
What else is?
Actually, the Jackson County Library District, the Jackson County Library Foundation Relationship Committee. Be interesting to me. But I will serve wherever I can.
Well, hopefully we might have. I don't know whether we want to take the time to run through sort of the job description of each committee now, or do it on Friday, but we could do it either time.
Well, they're described.
They are described. So I would encourage people to just read these and think about what you'd like to work on, and then we will see what we can work out in terms of getting people assignments that they are interested in doing, and will do lots of good work in those.
Yeah, I was serious.
That's fine. If anyone's interested in facilities, yes, data vendors.
No, all right, well. Let's think about it, and then we'll.
Just a quick point, Marissa did say she dropped off by.
Oh,
Back up?
Back, yes.
Oh,
She's back in. Yep.
Any questions or comments, Marissa?
I mean, I missed kind of part of the discussion on the committees, but it sounded like we're gonna revisit it on Friday anyways, so I think I can wait.
Okay. Just think about what you want to be working on. All right, so that,
So I just want to, on that too, at the end, there is the additional liaison roles. I can't say that word apparently. So someone for attending the RV cog meetings, our primary media contact, which we have, is usually been our board, chairperson. And then also, Susan, I know you've served as our liaison to the foundation, but we should, probably annually renew that, liaison position as well.
yeah, we should talk about all of those things. And the RV cog might need a little more explanation for some.
Correct.
But, Marta,
Yeah, and the article liaison, that is incorrect. It's been me. It has not been Beacon Brown, but Kevin Keating as my alternate.
Okay. And the other thing, as you're thinking about what committees you want to be on, going back to the governance board policy, that describes these committees. Part of the discussion is whether these are all committees that we still need to have. And I'm not suggesting one way or the other. I'm just saying, as you're thinking about it, are these committees that we still need? And then there's also on the other side of that, are there some short-term projects coming up, which will be good at part of our Friday discussion, that we may need a temporary committee or a more of a task force for those. So with the strategic plan process coming up, for example, that may be a short-term committee that you'd like to consider for the next year.
good point. About that, but that's definitely true. We do have some project kinds of things where an ad hoc committee or some sort of temporary committee needs to be recruited.
And then I just have a clarification question because the relationship committee is scheduled to meet tomorrow. So if Susan and Marissa are still prepared to do that tomorrow, since we don't have new committee assignments, we can move forward. Otherwise, I can reschedule that meeting.
Is that at 3 or 4? When is it? I don't have it on my.
4 to
phone.
6.
I don't think 4 to 6. Okay, I believe I can do that.
Marissa, is that on your calendar?
Yeah, it's on my calendar.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Any other questions or comments about all the various committee work that we get to do in addition to coming to our monthly board meeting? Alright.
Yeah, I have a question. I know that Carrie also sits or represents the library on a couple of committees or boards. Carrie, can you list those now, just to set the context for all the ways in which the library district is represented through the director's office and through the board?
Yeah, so I serve on the Oregon Broadband Advisory Council, which is a statewide appointment from the governor's office. It's a 4-year term. And then I also serve on the Southern Oregon PBS Community Advisory Board, and I am starting my second 3-year term on that board. And then I think that the Downtown 2040 Public Advisory Committee that I served on, I believe that our work is mostly concluded on that, but I have served on that committee as well.
Cool, thank you.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Oregon Library Association Legislative Committee.
Are those all by invitation or they're not necessarily a role that somebody from the library would get sent to?
Correct. They are all by invitation or appointment.
Right, that's what I think.
Yes.
So mostly we don't have to worry about those. We'll just send here. All right, so think about this and come prepared to negotiate with your fellow board members for your desired assignments. And the last category on our agenda are committee and board member reports. We have 2 committees that have met in the last month. Margaret, would you like to report for the advocacy committee?
we discussed the ideas for the next issues of the Library Champions newsletter, which is our advocacy communication tool. Looks like we have over 30 subscribers to that, which is good for a brand new resource that we just started last year. That's not bad. All of those are active volunteer opt-ins. Nobody's added just because or to beef up the numbers. So that's pretty good. People want to read it and they do. Also, Carrie was at that time preparing for the interview on the Jefferson Exchange. So the committee brainstormed sources to cite, sources to refer to, which direction, would benefit in terms of answers, to elevate the great work of the library, and Carrie did an awesome job on the Jefferson Exchange. And then we also, and then eventually by email, we learned about the ribbon cutting in Asheville and Blue Blocker. And so it was really good. We shared it with folks from you, and that's it. And of course, the presentations are continuing. One of the city halls where we're supposed to be presenting this month, they're going through some leadership turnover. And so that's just gonna get postponed, but that's okay because it's also smoky season and hot season. So that's quite all right. And break and those presentations for the summer is quite acceptable.
So, have you guys put all the board members on your subscription list for the newsletter?
It is an opt-in newsletter, so I can double check with our marketing department and make sure that all of you are on that newsletter.
I think it would be good for us to get that newsletter, whether we have taken the initiative to sign up for it or not.
I'll work with Mariah and make sure you all get on there. And it looks like the latest number is we do have 63 on that list. So it's been growing. And I will add our goal on the advocacy committee is to go to every city council meeting by the end of this calendar year. And I believe we have 4 more to schedule. So we're on track, and it is something that, if you're interested in serving on the advocacy committee, we would certainly enjoy having you join us for one of those. And even if you're not, if you have a city councilor, you're just like, ooh, I really want to go to, Shady Cove or Phoenix or one of the ones we have left to attend, please let us know and we'll be sure to include you when we're trying to find the appropriate date. So all the city councils meet in the evenings on set dates of the month. And so we're just trying to look forward at our schedules and their schedules to find dates that work for that presentation. It takes about 7 minutes. There's a full script for it, and it's been very well received every time we've given it so far. So it's kind of a fun way to get out and be visible in the community.
Only one thing to add, that outreach will include the Jackson County Board of Commissioners, and their meeting cadence is on the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that changes some things up. As well as the Southern Oregon Historical Society Board, if they're interested in a cameo appearance, because they are a major partner of ours here in Denver. Thank you, Heather.
And the policy committee? You want to report for the policy committee?
We did meet and went over in minutia and detail, the 150 or so pages of the, employee, learner's guide, what do they call it? Yeah. And, it's fascinating, it's a good read, and it's chugging along, right? Why don't you give us an update, Heather, where we at? Since the meeting, and just reword smithing over and over again.
I defer to the mistress of the handbook, our HR manager for everything more kind of comprehensive update, but.
It's still working, right?
So
That's,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
we did have a work session around the employee handbook.
Yeah.
And that work session on July 2nd was the next step in the revisions of the employee handbook. And then Bryn Fogarty, our HR manager, will be going back through the document, accepting the changes, making sure that it's a cleaned up version of the recommended policy changes. And that will be reviewed by our consultants at SDAO and HR Answers for legal compliance before it comes back to the board for ratification. So that's kind of the time horizon for that. And if Bryn has more to add, I'd ask her to come up to the microphone so we can all hear her.
All right, then, I believe that, oh. Any other questions or comments on the policy committee? All right, before we adjourn, I would just like to call your attention to the calendar of dates below adjournment. And the second item on there is United for Libraries Virtual Conference, July 29th, 30th, and 31st. The first day of that conference is, well, first let me say that the state library pays for us all to be able to go. And United for Libraries is the arm of the American Library Association that works with boards of directors and foundations and friends groups. And the first day, the 29th, is the day that is devoted to program for trustees and district type board members. Not all libraries have district, but most of them have some sort of a board of trustees or an advisory board for the county or some version of that. And the second day, the 30th, is for to foundation, library foundation work. And since we work closely with our foundation and we have people that sit on the foundation library relationship committee, it might behoove some of us to attend that day. And the 31st is the day that's going to be devoted to the Friends. Oh, and Ginny just appeared on the screen. Do you have anything to say about the 30th?
Just that Carrie and I will be speaking and sharing about the relationship at our library with other libraries on the Foundation Day. So come join us.
Is this being recorded, or do we have to attend if we're attending during the?
It is being recorded, but I believe you have to register to get the recordings. So it's important to register, even if you can't come to it live.
So my pitch here is to try to get us to all register and attend as much of this as we can, because this is a great way of learning about what we do. And
Yeah, asking questions, I'm sure everybody knows the answer to those, right? Where is the information? How do we register?
it should have come to you in an email from you, actually, I think.
Okay, I think I was just trained at 2:00 today on how to actually use my new phone or computer, so haven't looked at my emails yet, but I will.
All right.
Thank you.
I wanted to add that I really enjoyed listening to some of the recordings last year, because it's during work hours, I'm unable to attend in live sessions. There is a limited window on how long after the event you can access the materials. That's pretty important. There's still a couple of sessions I wish I could have accessed, but yeah.
It went away.
Well, I didn't try to log in afterwards because that's what it said. I didn't.
Yeah, usually United for Libraries keeps them, the recordings for about 3 months after the conference. But sometimes, Marta, pay attention this year, because sometimes they open the prior year when the next year is posted as well. So you get a second opportunity sometimes.
Oh, well, here's the second chances. Thank you.
To preserve your option to listen to the recording, you need to register. So
Correct.
please, this is my push to encourage everybody. I'm advocating for attendance at this workshop. Any other comments or questions or things you want to raise for the good of the order? Or
So the board is having the annual retreat this Friday. We have on the same calendar in the agenda the date of August 6th for possible work session. Do we know what we might discuss? Sometimes we know way in advance what the topic may be.
I thought we might talk about that on Friday when we talk about board goals for the coming year.
Cool, sounds good, thank you.
Yes. I just want to point out, I know the calendar invite is starting at 9, but if you come at 8:30, little gathering, little refreshment, and be ready to start the first topic at 9 a.m. And we do have all of our guest speakers lined up. And if you have not given Yoli your lunch order, make sure you get that into her so that we can order lunch.
Yeah, just to remind people that this is going to take place at the Rogue River Library, so make sure you don't show up at the wrong place. Anything else? It's 5 past. Oh, not even 5 past 5, so. Hearing no other action, we can stand adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.